Hi, YouTube. It's Angela. How are we doing? This week's soul guidance is going to take us on an exploration of some of our deeper underlying emotions and how we can create a better, create a new vision and being able to see how some of our deeper emotions that may be buried from old experiences can arise during triggering events, or um, just a way to generally go in and explore some of these deeper motivations and see if they're still valid for your current soul, for the way that you are, considering all the growth you've had in your life. And do I still really need to hang on to this, basically? So we start out and we're reading from the Zen Tarot deck and also this deck, the Priestess of Light Oracle. And the author is Sandra Ann Taylor and Kimberly Weber. It's a beautiful deck. We have 4 oracles from that deck and then clarifying cards from the Zen Tarot deck to give us deeper guidance into each card. So the first card I start with that we pulled is Deep Emotions. This is talking about actually unknown feelings. These are feelings that are so buried that they've been there for a long time. And if you think of your entire energy, like all the your past, your present, your possibilities in the future, how you hold energy within your body, how you present them as yourself, as your persona in the world, and how you may be protective of some experiences that you don't want to repeat, whatever, all of those things put together. If you equate it to, like, say, the ocean, with at any given time, the ocean will have multiple currents going in different directions, lasting a different length of time, varying speeds, right? Depths of where they're originating from, right? The ocean has all kinds of things going on at once. And if you think of your emotional self or your entire whole self as being just like that ocean with all these undercurrents and maybe for a while you ride on the surface and you ignore what's within and deep within, but eventually those things catch up, right? They arise and they come through into your current experience. Think about how those things that are beneath the surface, how they show up and when, and how they affect you as well as you sit and relate to them from today's standpoint. So we're really talking about older energies, like that may instill within you and then create fear or a longing or attachment, those concepts that take us out of our present center. So this is interesting. It's, when a situation happens, say that there's conflict, you have a conflict with another, and your repeated response, your patterning, the way you respond to conflict is to just step away and walk away and leave it behind, because you don't want to, you say, oh, I don't want to fight or whatever, but in a healthy resolution of conflict, you may stay, you may sit with the feelings that arise and explore them and find where that motivation is coming from for you to walk away and leave, right? It could be that an old experience, maybe as a child, and you saw your parents in conflict and fighting, and maybe they created a scary scenario for you. Maybe maybe you didn't see, everyone has conflict, but maybe you didn't see it come through to resolution. You just saw the argument and the dust up and the flare up, and that frightened you. That same child could be the one that's in today, right? In present time, is engaging in the conflict with another, and that child wants to walk away because I don't see a solution, right? This is part of your inner journey and exploring the undercurrent that's going on within your being, and maybe allowing one of these old fears or old emotions to rise to the surface so that you can um, be with it and sit with it and realize that it is so far in your past that it really cannot harm you now. And you've learned a lot, you've grown a lot, you do things differently now. So this is just a way of processing some of that older stuff that maybe we didn't even realize was motivating us from beneath the surface. The Zen cards I pulled with that card of deep emotions are healing, obvious, right? This is when your full self is in alignment, when you're, you know, your head, your heart, and your soul are all aligned, then that creates a healing experience. That creates the beginning, that sets the table for your healing, right? So knowing that, yeah, some of those deeper feelings might trigger you and might create fear, but knowing that you're safe, going back to that inner alignment and knowing I'm safe regardless of what feelings may arise, right? Those feelings can't harm me. They are only there to be felt, and some of them to be released, right? And which brings us to the next card. I got Thunderbolt. This is for some, this is like the Tower in a standard tarot. And I love this card in the Zen deck because it really goes through the whole process. If you see the fire in this larger being starting at the bottom, at the root chakra, and then catching all the way up the chakras till it reaches the crown, which is the thunderbolt itself, right? When your deeper emotions are there and they rise to your surface and build up and reach air, that creates the thunder, right? When they get out in the open, it creates this charged kind of, this is energetically, right? This isn't going to happen in your body, but it creates this charged energy that, I'm going to break this down into littler pieces. I'm going to let most of it fall away. If you see those people and the figures falling away as this, central figure is really just pulling in and feeling the energy of things that are arising within them, but knowing, remaining in that meditative pose and knowing I'm safe in this present moment. Let me just flush out some of this old stuff. I love that, how that, it helps you to lighten your load going forward, right? If you have been carrying a burden, an emotional burden within you that has served its purpose, kept you protected maybe. I don't like conflict. It keeps me protected. I walk away from it, right? But also there will always come a time, usually come a time when you can, when you're done with it, when you can release it, when you can say, oh yeah, this is rising up again. Let me take a look at it. Let it sit here for a moment with me and let me acknowledge in my present state, the being that I am today. Let me acknowledge that those old feelings and fear of witnessing or being involved in a conflict don't serve me now. I know how to speak my mind. I know how to solve a problem through resolution. I know how to create space and allow the other for their voice to be heard as well as we work through the conflict. Conflict doesn't always end in no solution, right? Usually it shouldn't, but we can revisit, the old ways that we dealt with conflict and allowing for those old fears and old triggering feelings to kind of be up and poof and release. I'm not saying everything that you've ever experienced all at once needs to come out and be gone, and now I'm a freshly curated soul. No, these things come up in layers, and we've talked about that in past readings, how, even just focusing on one specific fear, like the conflict I witnessed when I was a child, how can that harm me now if I'm in conflict now? It really can't, right? I am no longer that child. That child, um, held me in protection for a long time because I wasn't equipped to be in conflict or to witness it or to absorb it. But now I am. So those things can be released. So I love it how it's really just allowing you to give a review of where you're motivated, um, um, where these triggers lead us as far as where the root is. And then the next card I pulled is adjustment. And this is saying looking back and moving forward. This is actually a pause in your energy, a time to contemplate, reflect, and then reconsider the path you're on. Reconsider. So these old feelings come up instead of reacting and responding in the way you always do, to sit with it. And this is what we were saying just a few minutes ago, to reconsider, how do I want to handle this? Is an ugly feeling that I'm feeling because of this conflict. This is uncomfortable, but how do I want to handle this? Do I want to try a new way to release this feeling instead of walking away and ignoring it, which keeps us safe and protected for sure? But do I want to shift into another way of moving forward, which could be more fulfilling, helping me to bond with the people that I'm in conflict with a little deeper because of a mutual understanding that we're willing to air out and work through. So it's an adjustment. It's changing something so that you can move forward in a new direction. And the Zen cards I pulled to go with this adjustment card, with this guidance to sort of course correct, to pause and then course correct. I got tuning in, there's the pause. And this is a card of emotion. This is this figure sitting basically on all her feelings, or the bottom half of her is water, which is the emotions that are beneath her surface, and being with them. And even the conflicting thoughts and the past patterns and the ghosts that are speaking like within her, above her in her mind, are not harming her. She's undisturbed here because she's allowing herself to be authentic with these deeper feelings, with these things that may need to be triggered and released. That's the first part of the adjustment, is to pause and then reconsider. And then with that, I got the moment to moment card. This is waiting for the sign in how to proceed. This is trusting in the space you hold now and where you stand now, and then trusting that your next direction and your next source of support, like these boulders that this figure is standing on, will show up when they're ready and when you're ready to receive them. So this is not only pausing, but really being with the truth and the presence of the energy you're in to give you an authentic way to move forward. Then the next card I pulled here is clairvoyance. This is your intuition. This is trusting in your inner being, being intuitive and receptive. This is a feminine energy, and really being able to trust and know that those old feelings, maybe that brought up, maybe this old feeling of fear, to trust that it serves a purpose. It helps you to, in the past, it helped to keep you protected, but now it serves a purpose to help you be in touch with how much can my fears really harm me, right? If you're moving from an intuitive base, right, there's really no room for fear because you're moving organically in according to what your inner being provides, what answers, what directions your inner being provides. And to know too, as you start to develop that intuition, and there are many ways, right? We can, you could start reading oracle cards, so you could start practicing that. You could just be in meditation and see what arises and what comes through. But as you start to develop that sort of intuitive energy, then you start to realize that there's really no wrong way to see from your perspective. There's no wrong decision, right? If you go into your intuition, right? We just came off this adjustment card. We want to pause and reconsider and listen to our intuition and how to proceed. We're going to stick with the conflict scenario that as an example. But know that intuitive hit that you get, whatever that is, I'm going to count to 10 from now on when I'm in conflict, the old-fashioned way, that old standard way of pausing and being able to reflect. There's no wrong answer that your intuition will deliver. There is an answer and a possible direction. And then as you make a decision, whatever direction you go in, whatever shift you make to change, to loosen up those deeper energies and those triggering feelings, whatever decision you make to move from it is the correct decision. Because once you make a move from your old stuck place, then you create a whole new series of possible outcomes, right? And then you make another decision, and it's a whole new, it's almost like you're expanding and elevating with each intuitive choice that you make. And then the outcome may shift. The original, I'm going to clear all the fear that I want, and then I'm not going to be a fearful person anymore. Well, maybe another fear is going to arise, and you have a new level of intuition to reach. And it's just as you proceed and move in that flow, the outcome becomes less important, and the clearing of the old energy and the release of it, and then starting from a new vantage point from a cleared energy, that becomes the journey, right? Because I get to try this now. So there's it's important, that pause that we had in this adjustment card is important to go ahead and be with whatever arises, so that you can then decide, how do I want to respond to this? What direction do I want to move in now? Through your intuition, through your intuitive hits. And with that, I got the Master. This is receiving. This is, big crown chakra energy. This is receiving the messages from the divine and trusting every time they come through, even if they change, right? They may change with new circumstances, and then there's a new intuitive hit, and then I move in that direction, then there's a new set of circumstances. So it's always being in mastery, is always being willing to be present to what is and what is available to you. Energetically, I keep having to say that this isn't like, always, tangible moves. This is to shift your energy so that you're better. Your whole self is actually in motion and making those outside decisions in your external world, but it's realigning that inner energy. Then I got integration to go with that clairvoyance card. This is taking all of it, taking your past and those deep emotions, taking your present, being willing to pause and reconsider and look around and see if there's adjustments to make, and then listening to your intuition. It's all of it, and you're integrating, because you had one way, one MO, one mode of operation that you would move in, maybe in the past. When we're going to stick with conflict, when conflict arose, this is what I did. Now I'm willing to give it a little breath. Now I'm willing to expand that a little bit and see what the other possible responses could be. And this is, taking what you've learned, taking the way you used to do it, bringing a presence to where you are now, and how you can use what you know now about yourself and about your world in guiding you into that next step. And it's really just honoring all those facets of yourself, every aspect of you, the inner child and everything. And then the final card I got is clarity. So now we've moved from the depth of that ocean, kind of so much that's unseen, right? Moving around under the surface, to basically you've reached air, represented by the eagle here. with focus and clarity. Now you have, um, you know, you've developed a new way to respond when those old things arise. But it's also helping you to release illusions about that, about those feelings. And, um, you know, when I walk away from conflict, it keeps me safe. Bottom line, that's it. Yeah, it does. And how could you enhance your experience even more if you didn't walk away from the conflict? If you acknowledged, oh, my inner child is responding to this and really wants to take a step out that door. However, since I'm an integrated being now and evolved a little more, I can sit with it. I can be with that fear and find a solution to see my way into, more clarity, into a new way of a new outcome. With the clarity card, I pulled breakthrough. So this is your break. This is your clarity coming on board, right? It's like, oh, I know how I'm going to handle this now, or whatever. Remember, this card has a lot of third chakra energy as well. That space of your personal will, your personal power is kind of just guiding the way, with all that light is coming from it, tearing away the old conditions, the old responses, and just like, yeah, this isn't, I need new, fresh air, right? I need a new, fresh path from which to move. Now that I have the clarity, let me move forward in that. And there is the new vision card is the final card. And well, yeah, let me just aim my sights toward something higher, more elevated, more complete. When conflict arises, I can actually complete the process by, speaking my mind, allowing the other to speak their mind, and then finding common ground so that we can move our way to a solution. It's very, very, it goes from bringing something from deep within, letting it rise to the surface instead of being worried or afraid or using an old response, and then working with it in a new way, and hopefully releasing those old, responses. Okay, I'm going to pull now a couple cards from the messages from the light deck and just kind of see how we can close this reading out and what insights come through with these cards. Oops, there's one. And there's two. Love it. Okay, so what I got here was centering. Yeah, this is it. That's this adjustment card, is to, pause. So centering, that's the main step here is to break the patterns that we have, is to go ahead and get focused, get real grounded and centered within our own being, right? Trying to keep quiet those outside voices and those outside influences temporarily while we work through what's arising in us. And then I got insight. And yeah, heck, if that isn't, the clairvoyant card and the clarity card wrapped into one, I love that. This is following what you've learned to this point and making new choices in how to proceed when the old scary feelings arise. A lot of us are creatures of habit and we want to keep responding in the same way, but it's there's less development there, right, for our soul and for our own being, if we just keep repeating the same methods and the same responses. So perfect. I hope you gained some clarity here, and I hope we can each work on our old emotions that are buried beneath the surface one at a time as they arise, and welcome them. So welcome them as if, they're a dinner guest that you're going to allow to hang out for a minute and then go ahead and leave and go home as you release it. All right. Thank you guys so much. Sorry.